We'll get started. Excuse me, thank you for coming, everybody. I know everybody wants to talk. We had enough time to talk, though. We got to hear from the coaches now, so I'll try to be very, very loud. So thanks, everybody, for coming. I want to thank the Pizza Ranch for their great service. We come here to hear from the coaches and support Hardrocker Athletics, and we appreciate you coming out. So we'll start. We're going to mix it up a little bit. I know Coach Kadlec usually starts things off with the soccer program, but we're going to mix it up today. We're going to start with Hardrocker volleyball. Welcome up head coach Doug Tabbert.
Thanks for coming out, everybody. Appreciate having everybody here. Give you a quick recap of our last week or so. Had the Black Hills match last week. You know you're kind of off to a rough start when you get there, and you don't have a locker room. And the locker room you're supposed to have is occupied by a bunch of youth swimmers, and so we kind of had to work around that a little bit. Normally, right before we go out for a warm-up, the last thing we do is our staff goes in and we talk about players and kind of review the game plan and just prep a little bit. And I get there to do that, and Abby's going, you can't go in there because there's a bunch of girls in there changing. So, and a bunch of youth swimmers in there changing. So that's not a great start to the night. But we got in the match. First set, they kind of jumped on us pretty good. They were pretty up for it. Struggled a little bit. About halfway through, Emily Newton goes down, our junior middle, who's our veteran player, most experienced player we have, been a really key contributor for us. She may be done for the season. We're not sure, but it could be that way. So that was a tough way for us to start the match. Get about halfway through the first set and lose her. And then the second set, we kind of closed the gap a little bit, played a little better. Then we had the intermission come out. Third set, we played a lot better. We kind of flipped the script on them. Kind of did all the things we talked about we wanted to do. We served well, we passed well, defended a lot better, got a little offense going. We just played better. And why it took the third set to do that, you never really know. But we played a lot better, took the third set. Really were in control the entire time in that set, felt really good. And then the fourth set was about as bad as the third set was good for us. It just kind of turned like that. So, that's a big match for us. It always is. It's for all of our teams. It's a tough place to play. It's a tough crowd for us. We're walking through the lobby, and we got people telling us, "You suck," and that kind of stuff. And that was a female. That was one of the female students that said that to us. So it's a tough environment for us. And as young as we are, a lot of kids have never been in that before. It was kind of a learning deal for us. But hopefully we'll learn from that. Not a lot of good things came out of that match for us, to be honest with you. I can usually find something pretty positive, but it was a tough one afterward to find that. Other than the third set and making a stand in the third set. So then this weekend we had Westminster. They're sort of the same boat we are. Younger team, they've been struggling some. First set was pretty competitive. It was 25-23. Could have went either way. Make a play or two down the stretch. So we weren't playing poorly, but we kind of felt like we let the first set get away, kind of opportunity lost. Second set played better, and felt pretty much in control most of the second set and polished it off. And then sometimes that intermission, that 8-minute intermission between 2 and 3 is your best friend, and sometimes it's your worst enemy. And so we go in the locker room for that intermission, and we're talking about how we got to come out and start the third set. We've got to play really well at the beginning and set a tone and all that, let them know that we're rolling here. And we did just the opposite. We came out and we didn't play very well the first 5 or 6 points, and they got going. And that one got away from us kind of quick. We went from being offensively playing pretty well to we just couldn't get kills in the third set with any kind of regularity, and weren't really sure why. And it got away from us again pretty quick. In the fourth set, played better, coming back, feeling pretty good. We're trailing, but we're really close. And we get to 22-20, they're leading 22-20, and we're right there. And every once in a while in sports, a player will do something you just cannot imagine what possessed them to do that particular thing at that moment. And I see it at every level in sports. I saw it in the Major League playoffs earlier this past week where a guy got thrown out by 30 feet at the home plate in a playoff game. This is a Major League star. I saw it in a Division I college football game where a cornerback just was covering a guy man-to-man and just stopped running with him. And the guy catches the pass and for a huge gain, and the announcer going, what is he thinking? And we had two of those plays where 22-20, great chance to score. We had one of those plays from one of our kids. So suddenly instead of being 22-21, it's 23-20 them, a little tougher. And then right next play, another one of our kids does the same thing. It's kind of just one of those mindless kind of things. And Abby and I just look at each other going, why would that ever happen? And you just don't know sometimes. So we had a shot down the stretch, and we just had a couple kind of big errors that consecutive plays, and it just turned it for us. So so I got away from us too. So we're still kind of trying to figure some things out. We're still struggling a little bit here in some ways, but we also feel like we're making progress. It just doesn't always show up in the box score. Little injury, Emily Newton, again, we may not see her the rest of the season. We're not sure. It's kind of a week-by-week thing, but that's a tough one for us, losing her. We did get Kenzie DeVries back. She was one of our freshman outsides. Got her back on Friday for practice for the first time in about 3 weeks. And she looked pretty good in practice, so, all right. So, and played pretty decent on Saturday. For a while, it kind of, I think, ran out of gas a little bit down the stretch, but which is kind of to be expected with that kind of layoff. But we got her back now, so it's good. We're a little more balanced at least. So now we got to change a few other pieces around with Emily out, but we'll do that. Got some, the All-RMAC academic team came out yesterday. We have 4 players on it. Hannah Bright's on the first team. Our sophomore, middle out of Fort Collins, having a really nice year. Man, from last year to this year, Hannah's made a ton of progress. And at times we see really good stuff from her. We got to get a little more consistent. Part of that's ball control, part of that's setting, but she's really come along. And if she keeps going at the rate she's going, we got an all-conference medal in the next 2 years, we think. So, but she's on the first team, and then Emily Newton and Emily Stickney and Darla Dracon all made the honor roll part of that thing. So really proud of those 4 for doing that. They're all taking some pretty serious majors here, doing a lot of good stuff academically. So. And they're all they're good team players. Emily Stickney's been a real treat for us in her 1 year with us. Darla's as much of a team player as you're ever going to find. Emily Newton's taken a lot of responsibility on as a junior, upperclassman, team captain, team leader kind of thing. So proud of all 4 of those guys for, I should say guys, those 4 young ladies for what they've accomplished. Coming up real quick this weekend, we've got Western State coming out on Saturday, or Friday, excuse me, and Mesa on Saturday. Western's kind of in that 500 range right now. They're kind of a high error, high risk, high reward team. They do some stuff that can be really high error for them or can really pay off for them. So if you get them when they're playing well, they're a handful. If you get them when they're in that high error mode, you got a chance. And so we'll do what we can against them. We're still scouting them with some film now. Mesa's having a pretty good year. They just beat Colorado Mines in 4 this past weekend, and they've got a high end. We knew that. They're one of the best teams in the conference, so they'll pose some challenges for us. But we're going to go out there and give them what we got and play as well as we can, and we'll battle them to the extent that we can. Senior night on Friday, we're going to recognize Emily Stickney, who's kind of an odd case. She's a graduate student actually, but in her last year of eligibility, and so we appreciate what she's done for us. We're going to honor her. And then Saturday's our breast cancer awareness match, so that's our pink theme. So if you come on Saturday, wear your pink and join the party for that. So we look forward to get back on the floor again and playing some more. So we'll do our best. So thanks. Oh, any questions? Sorry, excuse me. I talk a lot, so it's usually I don't leave much room for questions, but all right. Thanks. We'll see you this weekend. There were other ones.
Call, mate.
I'd like to thank Rusty Molstead for that. We can hear it a little bit better. Previewing this weekend, RMAC Championships Cross Country Head Coach Steve Johnson.
Thank you. Yeah, this week's a big one. We get to go have the RMAC championships. We're actually pretty fortunate this year. Last year we had to go all the way down to Alamosa. This year we only have to go to Spearfish. So I will take that anytime. 15 teams. Everybody's got a men's and a women's team, and this is flat out the best cross country you're going to get a chance to see. The RMAC #1 and #3 teams in the nation on the men's side. Adams State and Colorado Mines should be a really good battle from a team standpoint, as long as it doesn't turn too physical. They've had a bad habit of getting a little too into it lately, so hoping they focus on the running and keep it clean, because then it'll be a really good race to see. From the standpoint of the individuals, I think Adams State's Sidney Gudabuta is probably the guy to watch. I expect that he will run away with it, but he has a habit in these races of sitting back and kind of letting the race come to him and trying to win it down the stretch, which makes for an exciting watch, but it's a lot more work on him in the end to do it that way. On the guys' side, we're hoping we can crack the top 10 finally. We've placed as high as 12th in the past. We're getting Chase Wood back, which is a huge bonus for us, and having Jacob up there. Jacob's running as well as any of our guys ever have in the RMAC, and I think he's got an opportunity to surpass what Travis and Cole did the last couple of years for us, and potentially crack the top 50 and even the top 45, which would be huge for us to have that kind of breakthrough at this meet. And then on the guys' side, the biggest thing is just trying to bring our pack time down, get our 2 through 5 runners closer to where Jacob's at, without slowing down. And I think we're in a good position. We've had some really good training the last couple of weeks, and they really seem to have bounced back from a little bit of a lull at Fort Hays. The women's side should be an interesting one. We know as an individual, Georgia Porter, probably from Western State, will probably run away with it, much like she did at Fort Hays. And then from a team standpoint, Adams is definitely the deepest squad out there. At Fort Hays, I think they had 6 in the top 10 in a race that had 130 some runners. So I fully expect that Adams will run away with the team title. The real question in that one is, how does 2 through 8 fill out? And we think we can be in that matchup, in that range. Basically, you've got 14 teams in the RMAC that are ranked in the top 25 in the nation. You've got 8 teams in the RMAC that are ranked in the top 10 in the region. We are not one of those teams, but we're going to try to be one of those teams. So it's one of those that we know what Addie can bring to the table. We know Addie can be a top 15 finisher here at the meet. If she can get into the top 14, that'll put her at first team all RMAC. And then it's a matter of what can the rest of the girls do. And we believe we can put all 5 of our scorers in the top 60. So if we have, now the catch is, of course, that means we have to have a great day. That's always a little bit tough to get 5 people and really 7 to run great all on the same day, but that's the goal. Spearfish, of course, is a new one for me. Fortunately, I have Coach Schaefer to lean on, who's seen a variation of this course back when Dave Little was the head coach there back in the 90s. It's on the front 9 at Spearfish Canyon Country Club, and so there's a little bit of up and down to it, but if you've ever seen the back 9 of that course where they normally host their meets, I'll take the front 9 any day of the week. So this one, it'll be pretty quick because it's mostly running on fairways, but the kids aren't real excited because it's a loop course. It's 2K laps around the golf course, so it's 3 laps for the ladies, so 6K, and 4 laps for the guys. So from that standpoint, it makes it really easy for me to plan strategically, but for them, for running it, it's a little bit more of a mental challenge because they're going to see the same thing over and over. And when you go past the same mark and you know, first lap around, everybody's pretty close together, and the second lap it gets a little bit strung out, and then a little more strung out each time around. That can kind of get to you a little bit mentally, so we've got to stay strong mentally on this one. Race times, the men race first this year, so the men are at 10 o'clock, the women are at 11, which means that you can definitely come up and check it out and make it back here for the football game at 1. Questions?
What do you mean when they get physical, like mines? And what happens, and is there any repercussions? Or?
Technically, cross-country is a non-contact sport. The reality of cross-country is that it's considered by runners to be the dirtiest of the 3 sports. Track is second, and road racing is supposed to be the gentleman's sport where there's no contact at all. Cross-country is physical because, first of all, you have, you know, in this case, we'll have a starting line that's 50 meters long, and we have to funnel down to 10 meters. So when you've got about 150 runners trying to funnel into 10 meters, there's going to be a lot of pushing and shoving that goes on. What we saw at the RMAX outdoors was, in addition to the pushing and shoving, there was a lot of accelerations by teams where they would speed up and then slow way down in front of somebody. There's going to be a lot of, there will likely be a lot of clipping heels and elbows thrown through the course of the race, especially early in the race. Typically it cleans up by the second lap, but if it's close, you never quite know what to expect.
But there's no repercussions if they do that?
If the official sees it and elects to disqualify, they can disqualify them. Technically, any contact should be a disqualification, but it's up to the official to make the call.
Is this the way they've always run?
There's always been, in cross-country, there's always some contact. The Adams Mines thing has escalated the last couple of years. You know, for a while it was Adams Western with some of that, but they kind of formed a healthy respect for each other. I think with Mines trying to push their way up into the front, there's a little bit of an edge there, a little bit of a chippiness, and so that's aggravated things right now, but we'll kind of see how it plays out.
So how many officials and where are they placed?
No.
Not that I'm thinking strategically.
Not
enough in the wrong place.
Well, they don't run around as much as the cross-country fans do, so, you know, typically it's just 2 officials, start-finish area. So there's a lot of ground there to get away with stuff.
Well, how do the fellow coaches feel about this and with the conference?
You know, from my standpoint, we're going to do what we have to do, and we're going to let everybody else take care of themselves. That's the best approach to it from that standpoint. From the standpoint of, you know, if I'm coaching one of those teams, I don't want them worrying about throwing elbows and trying to kick people or whatever, because that's taken away from their race. I want you just to get out and run. If you need to make, you know, if you run as a team and pick up your teammates as you go, you're going to run a much better race than if you're worrying about what the guy in the other jersey's doing. So, you know, at the same time, you know, I'm always going to tell my kids, you know, you have to defend your space. You know, if somebody's throwing an elbow at you, then you have to do something about it. Best answer is accelerate and get away from them. But it's not always feasible.
Is it nastiness both men and women?
Right now it's really mostly the men's side. Women's race, there's always a little bit of physicality too, but it hasn't seemed to get to quite the same level. Other questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this Saturday. That's why I wasn't in cross country, just too physical. Went down to Denver and watched Hardrocker soccer this weekend. I think the biggest win for the men's soccer program in the history of the program so far. They beat Metro State. Welcome up head coach Jordan Kadlec.
I'd probably agree with you there.
Metro State's been in and out of the top 25 all year, so to go down there and beat them at home, it was pretty special. The first half was the first time we really looked comfortable sitting back and defending. Usually we've looked a bit panicked, we're absorbing pressure, and our guys don't know what to do. So 15 games or 14 games in, we finally settled in and looked comfortable doing that. And the first half, we ended up going down, I think with about 15 or 20 minutes left in the first half, and kind of just waited it out until half. Coach Conniff and I were talking about what we needed to switch at halftime, and I wanted to make that switch on the fly, but he convinced me otherwise because it was a huge formation change. So that was good for him to do that. And then at half, so what we've been playing is a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2. It's a variation of each where you have 5 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 2 forwards. And what Metro State does really well is they expose the outside. So what we switched to was more of a 4-1-4-1. So you have a flat back. You have 4 defenders, our holding guard is sitting right in front of him, and then 4 more midfielders. So what that does is it helps out our wings. So it helps out our outside backs and our midfielders because they were getting. What they do is they barely play down the middle, so they overload the outsides of the field, and they expose us pretty well there. So that switch at halftime, I think, was a big part of us getting the result. The first goal we scored was Eric Fensky. He was our captain that game, senior, and probably the biggest goal of his career was off of a free kick, and it ended up being a bit of a scramble, and he finished it. And then the second goal, David Cabrera got on a breakaway, slowed down, and we were all like, "What are you doing?" And then ended up finding Justin Barco, who, if you guys read the press release, I honestly think he's one of the best players in the conference. He's a freshman, hit probably the goal of the year in the bottom right, or bottom left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner of the goalkeeper, and that was with about 3 minutes left, and we just sat back and absorbed pressure and cleared the ball and kicked the ball as far as we could for 3 minutes. And, going back and watching the video, at the end of it, you could see how excited our guys were. They all ran on the field, so that was the energy was extremely high, the emotions were high, and to be able to replicate that on Sunday against UCCS in the mid-afternoon game was extremely difficult for our guys. So that game we ended up losing 2-0. If anyone saw the game last Sunday, it was pretty much the exact same thing. It was, to be honest, it was boring. I mean, it was we didn't go out and execute our game plan. I don't think UCCS executed theirs. We like I said before, we sit back and absorb pressure and try to keep the back line as tight as we possibly can. And the first half, we were defending our side of the field, and you can see that there were 30 yards between our midfield and our back line, and that's not good. Fortunately, for us, UCCS didn't expose that space, so we got lucky to go into halftime with a down 1-0. Second half, we came out just as flat. We actually had a great opportunity to tie it up about 15 minutes into the second half, and we missed 2 sitters, so that was the difference there. They ended up scoring with 15 minutes left. We got a red card. And then that basically took the wind out of our sails. So this week we have Regis, who is most recently ranked 9th in the country. However, they did lose on Sunday to Metro State. I think playing them here as opposed to playing them away is going to be beneficial for us because it's a tighter field. We're going to be able to manage, be able to compress the space a bit more and limit how much they can expose us. I mean, like I said, after we played them the first time, they overhauled their entire roster and brought in Division I transfers, a ton of internationals, and they're a really, really good team. But playing on a smaller field out at Sioux Park is going to help us limit the amount that they expose us, and hopefully we can break on them and get a goal and sit back and defend. So Friday we have Pueblo, who I know absolutely nothing about other than their record. They're in a similar situation as we are. I think they're 2-7. Or 2-10 in conference right now, so hopefully that's another chance where we can get one and improve our record from last year. Any questions?
How about the size of the fields? What do you mean? Our field is smaller than most normal soccer fields?
Yeah, so it's great for us because it's regulation size, but most fields that we play in the conference are really new stadiums, and they have to be, if they're built after '94, I believe they have to be 115 by 75, and our field is 110 by 63 and a third, or 65 and a third. So it doesn't sound like much, and it isn't really that much, but it does help us compress the space a little bit.
Home field.
Yeah, home field advantage there. Anything else? Thanks.
Reminder, soccer tomorrow night. It's
Yep.
kind of an odd, 7 o'clock? 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock tomorrow night over at Sioux Park against Regis. Went down to Golden, Colorado. The Hardrocker football team's 5-2, 4-2 in the RMAC, still very much in the hunt. Welcome up head coach Zach Tinker.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks for everybody to come out. I know we're running short on time, so we'll just go ahead and skip over Saturday's game and move forward. Hey, Saturday we came out and we just didn't acquit ourselves very well at the start of the football game. There's no question about it. We're a loose football team. Our kids love playing together. They love having fun. Somewhere between 11 and 12 o'clock on Saturday, we became a ball of nerves. We were a very nervous football team, and that anxiety showed. We just did not do what we normally do, very little juice. So that was disappointing because I think once we settled in and kind of started playing normal football, we actually looked like a pretty good football team. We acquitted ourselves pretty well as we played the remainder of the game. So disappointing result. If you were at the game or you saw any of the game, if you didn't give up on us after the first quarter, you'd have seen a lot of Hardrocker spirit through the second through the fourth quarter. We played a very competitive brand of football. And we showed the character of our football team. We didn't show how good we could be as a football team, but we certainly showed our character on Saturday, and you'd be very proud of that football team that you saw. A couple of things in terms of the game, in terms of players of the week, because we did have some guys really play well. Defensively, Ralphie Ariano's a safety, number 22. You see Ralphie, boy, he contested the football. They have the best quarterback I've ever played against. There's no question about it. He is a special player. He can put the ball wherever he wanted to, and he put the ball right where he wanted to, over the top of at Ralphie a couple times, and Ralphie was able to step up and rise to the occasion and make a play. It was really awesome. Our special teams player of the week, Isaiah Manley, our punt returner, also runs down on kicks. Incredible job by Isaiah. Our offensive player of the week was Marcus Sanchez, our receiver, number 19. He was unguardable on Saturday. He played with a spirit and a passion and a toughness. He really drove him crazy a little bit. Just a tremendous competitor. And you only get 4 chances, only 3 at home here, to see Marcus play as he closes out his career. So I encourage you to come out and see him. What a great spirit in his game. And then our fearless player of the week, that was our theme last week. And a guy who came in off the bench due to injury and just played lights out, is Evan Sanders, our quarterback, number 10. He kind of went in there a little bit like he didn't really care very much. He was going to go and attack. And he was throwing that ball wherever. Very first play, he rolled in there and it was a run play and he decided to sling it anyways. And I said, all right, well, we're going to be okay, because he decided to go ahead and throw the ball. Didn't get a completion on that one, but found a bunch of them, including 3 touchdown passes as the day went along. So great job by Evan in that role. Also wanted to mention our all RMAC academic performers. It's a little bit of a funky deal, right? Because in the RMAC, we evaluate the kids on GPA. And I have a personal opinion that a 3.3 GPA at South Dakota Mines is a little more significant than that same number at some other institutions. However, having said that, our guys did an outstanding job. David Jackpour was first team all academic team. David Jackpour is an absolute model of what you want a Hardrocker football player to be. Outstanding individual. If you ever get a chance to talk to David, take 5 minutes out of your day and see him on campus, and he will make your day better than before you spoke with that young man. Our honor roll players, Jake March is a sophomore defensive end. Jake was injured in the game, and I just bring it up because it was a bit of a scary injury because he was down, but he's back at school. He came on the bus back with us home over the course of the weekend. I think he's going to be out for a little bit of time, but he's starting to get into recovery mode, and I know a lot of people asked me about him because they were concerned about him. Also on the honor roll, Dominic Martinez, a linebacker senior. Blake Stone right here in Rapid City, South Dakota. He's a junior. Robbie Joe Girardin, our kicker, sophomore. Marshall Gleason, our other kicker, who's a senior. And then Andrew Montoya as well, honor roll player. Yeah, give Andrew some These guys are incredible student athletes, but we have more great student athletes than just those 7 that were recognized by the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. I promise you that much. And they're diligent in the job they do on a week-in, week-out basis. And that puts that to bed. Next up is Chadron State, and it's an exciting time for our program because for everyone in the program, no one's experienced this rivalry before. It's brand new to all of us. The rivalry has been dormant for a little bit of time. And so our guys are very, very excited to see what it's going to feel like to be out on the field with the Eagles on Saturday. I know it'll be a raucous occasion. You know, I'm asking you for your support in making sure that Chadron State doesn't bring more supporters to the football game than we do. Are we on the same page there? Okay. I know they're anxious to get out of Chadron and come up to Rapid City and hang out. Okay, and I appreciate that. But we need to bring our Hard Rocker spirit on Saturday. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. You can go watch the steel cage match cross country up at Spearfish in the morning, and then come back in the afternoon. You can still get a little bit of tailgating before the 1 o'clock kickoff. And I know that the Rockers are going to play with a ton of energy on Saturday. That's what we'll bring. We got 3 of our last 4 games at home, and right now we're unbeaten at home. And we need to keep it that way. We're 2-2 in the RMAC on the road, but we're unbeaten in RMAC games at home, and we have 3 more to close this thing out, and we need to continue to have that home field advantage. We do play on a regulation-sized field at home, okay? But we like our opponents. We like our opponents to feel like the field's a little bit too big for them, and it's hard for them to cover us. What questions you guys got? Yeah.
Have you considered lending some football players to the cross-country team?
Yeah, I should. I know. Coach Racebeck was like, well, I wouldn't mind hitting some people during our so he's in. Yeah, he's in. So if you need somebody. Now, he ain't going to run very far. Early on in the race, he'd be really good for you, Steve. About that first 100 meters, very physical.
So you can just switch.
Yeah, I don't see a little cycle, a little baton. Yeah, it's not going to work for us. Other questions you got?
How's Jake?
Yeah, what happened to Jake Sullivan?
Yeah, he hurt his knee a little bit on Saturday, but Jake did practice this morning, so we're hopeful that he'll be able to continue his season. So he looked okay in practice, you know. We had a great spirited practice this morning. You know, we actually started a little early. We kind of got out there by 5:47, started cranking it up a little bit, and but didn't turn the music up until 7 o'clock. You know, we don't want to disrupt the neighbors, so the music went up at 7 o'clock, and we finished up practice really, really strong. It was great. Yeah, but I hope he'll be able to play. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, all of us do. Yeah. Any other questions?
What do you know about Chadron?
What do we know about Chadron is they're physical. They're a fast, physical team, you know, and they've lost a bunch of close games, you know, and that's the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference this year, you know. You got to win the close ones, and they lost one by 1, they lost one by 4, they lost one by 6, they lost one by 7. So they've been in these tight games and just haven't won them. So they're a hungry football team. There's no question about that. They played really, really well last week. They kind of got all their frustration out last week, so they're feeling very, very confident. And I just know the perception of how they feel about themselves and what they think about us. I think they're a very, very confident football team coming here, and we can't wait for the fight.
What do you think the league thinks about the Mines, Black Hills, Dixie State? You know, they were all slighted in the preseason poll, all put down. And all those teams have winning records in the RMAC, and some of the long-established RMAC teams are really struggling.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about the league?
I don't know. I know this. I know it's hard to win on the road in this league. It is. All the road trips are tough road trips, and maybe even not more so for us, but for any team, it's hard to win on the road. So I think you're seeing that. You're seeing that teams going on the road. It's tough to find a win when you're on the road. That's the first part of it. But yeah, the race is still wide open. As poorly as we played in this past week, we're still right there. You know, we're right in the group of teams with 2 losses, which is, there's 4 of us, you know, so it's going to be a competitive a fight till the end, you know. I don't know if you can generalize about the league right now to that extent, but I just know that it's competitive every week, and every team has really now shown, for the most part, everybody can beat everybody, and I don't think that's what people thought was going to happen at the start of the year. But we're happy that we changed the perception a little bit.
You know, we have a freshman recruit in the audience over here.
What?
A former Hardrocker football player.
No, I didn't. A freshman?
Well, we're trying to recruit him again, but
one more. Got another year in you?
1958.
Yeah.
I was just a little.
We'll get you
bit
with our
off.
compliance officer, and we'll see what we can do. You'll have to sign a waiver.
If I can still do it.
Yeah. You can sign.
Larry.
Any other questions? Yeah.
What kind of defense does Chadron run?
Boy, it's a multiple alignment front that they're using, some 3 down and some 4 down. It's an attack style defense. They've played some good defense, and then they've had some games that have gotten away from them. So they're going to give us a big challenge up front. They play really, really hard. They tackle really, really well. So I think those are the things we'll be challenged with on Saturday for sure. Yeah. And they're trying to. They're a very physical run football team. They really like to run the football, and we like to play teams who like to run the football. We like that engagement. So we're ready for that. It should be. I don't know if it'll be RMAC cross country physical, but it'll be a physical game in the trenches for sure. There's no question. Okay.
So who is our 1958 fifth-year freshman?
Oh, Dick Schlumpberger. My quarterback at that time. Quarterback at that time was a guy named Skip Kapler, and Bob Meeson, and a number of other people that are still known around school.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You're still in Indiana?
Pardon?
Were you?
I grew up in Parkston.
But you're living now in
Illinois.
Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Welcome back.
We just happened to come back for other things. We
Yeah.
decided to hit the football game.
Let's go.
Larry invited us out here, so we thought this is great.
Cool.
Well, I just want to let you know, when you're at the stadium and you look at those sky boxes, there's a certain box that's named as Dick's and his wife sponsored that for us a few years ago, which
Really
was
great.
very nice when we renovated the stadium.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, I would guess that 90% of the people that see that box think it's Schlumberger Oil Company.
There's a lot of letters up there, and everybody just smiles. It looks good from here. All right, guys, rock on.
This is South Dakota, Dick. They know it's Schlumpberger.
Oh, yeah, right. Where did they? You probably get more money from Schlumberger than you do Schlumberger.
We're glad to have you here, by the way. I look forward to having you up in your box on Saturday. Okay, busy week. Let's tell everybody, busy week. Soccer tomorrow night at 6. Volleyball this weekend. RMAC championships this weekend in Chadron State. One thing I want to note, there is the jersey auction. There's some former Hard Rockers here, and I don't know your number back in the day, but we're having a special jersey worn on Saturday, Chadron State game. Gray jersey, it's going to be great. We're going to auction off those game jerseys to anybody that wants them. Alumni, get your